Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور خالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم صدق الله العظيم.
माशाअल्लाह इस बच्चे ने 20 पारे मुकम्मल हिफ्ज़ कर लिए स्कूली 10 पारे हिफ्ज़ कर लिए स्कूल के साथ साथ हिफ्ज़ करते रहे ये भी हिफ्ज़ कर रहे हैं और इस तरह कई बच्चे ऐसे हैं जो आज कुरान मजीद अपनी स्कूल की तारीख के साथ हिफ्ज़ कर रहे हैं। अल्लाह ताला सबकी حفظ کرنے کو قبول فرمائے. اللہ سب کو حافظ قرآن بنائے, محافظ قرآن بنائے, عالم دین بنائے اور دین کے سچے داعی اور ایک لیڈر بن کر دنیا میں زندگی گزارنے والے بنے. ایسی ہی مثال ہمارے سامنے ابھی آنے والی ہے, جو عالم بھی ہیں, حافظ بھی ہیں, داعی بھی ہیں, مفکر بھی ہیں, تھنکر بھی ہیں اور انٹرنیشنل لیول پر اللہ تعالیٰ نے ان کو بڑی خوبیوں سے نوازا ہے. ان قریب انشاءاللہ تشریف لائیں گے. میں حضرت کی آمد سے پہلے ہماری اسی مسجد کے نائب امام حافظ منوّر کو دعوت دیتا ہوں کہ سرکار دو عالم سرور کونین جناب رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم کی خدمت میں اشعار نعتیہ اشعار پیش کرنا.
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. یوں ہی سب دشمنان دین کو اندھا بنا ڈالا, یوں ہی سب دشمنان دین کو اندھا بنا ڈالا, یوں ہی سب دشمنان دین کو اندھا بنا ڈالا, یوں ہی سب دشمنان دین کو اندھا بنا ڈالا, کہ جب مکڑی نے غار ثور میں جالا بنا ڈالا, کہ جب مکڑی نے غار ثور میں جالا بنا ڈالا. عجب اعجاز ہے پتھر کو بھی کلمہ پڑھا ڈالا, عجب اعجاز ہے پتھر کو بھی کلمہ پڑھا ڈالا, اشارے سے دو ٹکڑے چاند کا کر کے دکھا ڈالا, اشارے سے دو ٹکڑے چاند کا کر کے دکھا ڈالا. محمد نے اخوت سے, صداقت سے, محبت سے, محمد نے اخوت سے, صداقت سے, محبت سے سبھی بگڑے ہوئے انسان کو انسان بنا ڈالا, سبھی بگڑے ہوئے انسان کو انسان بنا ڈالا. مبارک جس میں سے جب خون بہا طائف کے گلیوں میں, مبارک جس میں سے جب خون بہا طائف کے گلیوں میں, میری سرکار نے ان کو دعا دی غم بھلا ڈالا, میرے سرکار نے ان کو دعا دی غم بھلا ڈالا. غریبوں کو یتیموں کو لگا کر اپنے سینے سے، غریبوں کو یتیموں کو لگا کر اپنے سینے سے، عرب کی سرزمین سے کفر ظلمت کو مٹا ڈالا، عرب کی سرزمین سے کفر ظلمت کو مٹا ڈالا، زمین ویران تھی بے نور تھا سارا جہاں یارو، زمین ویران تھی بے نور تھا سارا جہاں یارو، محمد مصطفیٰ آئے تو دنیا کو سجا ڈالا، محمد مصطفیٰ آئے تو دنیا کو سجا ڈالا، یوں ہی سب دشمنان دین کو اندھا بنا ڈالا، کہ جب مکرین غار ثور میں جالا بنا ڈالا۔ السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ۔
ماشاءاللہ قرآن کی تلاوت بھی اچھی ہوئی، نماز مغرب بھی امام صاحب کو اچھی شاندار پڑھائی، نعت شریف بھی بہت اچھی پیش کی گئی، ابھی انشاءاللہ بیان بھی بہت اچھا ہوگا۔ ہمارے حضرت مولانا مفتی عبدالرحمن صاحب آئے جمعہ کے دن جبکہ جمعرات کی رات بنگلور پہنچے، اور مسلسل 3 دنوں سے یہ پروگرام ایسے ایک شیڈول ان کا بنایا گیا ہے کہ ان کو بڑی راحت ملنا مشکل ہو گیا۔ تھوڑی دیر ظہر سے پہلے اچانک طبیعت خراب ہو گئی، وہ راستے میں ایک جگہ واپس آ رہے تھے میڈیم سے، ان کو تھوڑی دیر کے لیے آرام کروانا پڑا، تو آرام کر کے وہاں سے نکل چکے ہیں، بس میرے خیال سے 4-5 منٹ میں وہ پہنچنے ہی والے ہیں۔ اسی لیے ہم نے حضرت کی آمد سے پہلے نعت شریف کا بھی ایک موقع دیا تھا، اور حضرت کی آنے تک 2-4 منٹ انشاءاللہ گفتگو آپ کے سامنے ہوتی رہے گی۔ حضرت کے تعلق سے بہت ساری باتیں ایسی ہیں جو کہی جا سکتی ہیں، اور اللہ تعالیٰ نے ہمارے درمیان ایسے نوجوان علماء کو بھیجا ہے، پیدا فرمایا ہے، جو ایک طرف ماڈرن ایجوکیشن کو حاصل کیے ہوئے ہیں، تو دوسری طرف علوم دینیا میں بھی بڑی زبردست مہارت حاصل کی ہے۔ یہی وجہ ہے کہ مولانا ڈاکٹر عبدالرحمن صاحب جب بات کرتے ہیں اور بالخصوص جب انگلش میں ایڈریس کرتے ہیں تو انگریزی دان طبقہ انگریزی سمجھتا ہے، بہت زیادہ متاثر ہوتا ہے، اور ان کی گفتگو ان کو اپیل کرتی ہے، جس کی وجہ سے آج کل کا جو ینگسٹرس نوجوان حضرت کے بیانوں سے بلکہ ہزاروں نہیں لاکھوں کی تعداد میں ان کے چینل سے مستفید ہوتا ہے، ان کی زمزم اکیڈمی سے استفادہ کرتا ہے، اور ان کے جو دوسرے اور چینلز ہیں اس سے بھی فائدہ اٹھاتا ہے۔ اللہ نے وہ خوبی اور صلاحیت نوجوانوں کی ذہنیت کو سامنے رکھ کر بات کرنے کا سلیقہ ان کو عطا فرمایا ہے۔ خدا کرے کہ ہمارے اس طرح کے نوجوان علماء جو دنیا بھر میں اس وقت دین کی محنت اور خدمت کر رہے ہیں، اور مختلف زاویوں سے مختلف اینگل سے نوجوانوں تک دین کی بات پہنچانے کی کوشش کرتے ہیں، اللہ تعالیٰ ایسے نوجوان علماء کی عمروں میں برکت عطا فرمائے، بڑے بزرگ علماء کی عمروں میں بھی برکت عطا فرمائے، سب سے ہم سب کو بار بار مستفید ہونے کا موقع عطا فرمائے۔ مفتی رحمان صاحب ہمارے شہر بنگلور ماشاءاللہ بار بار آتے ہیں، ہر 3-4 سال میں ایک مرتبہ جمعیت علماء کے کچھ ہمارے ذمہ دار ساتھی ان کا پروگرام بناتے ہیں۔ ابھی بھی دلی آئے تھے، وہاں کچھ پروگرام تھے، اس کے بعد ہمارے بنگلور آئے، تو یہاں بھی جیسے میں نے کہا کہ بہت ٹائٹ شیڈول رہا اور ان کو موقع بھی نہیں مل سکا تھا زیادہ سونے آرام کرنے کا، تو اللہ تعالیٰ نے دعاؤں کی برکت سے پھر سے وہ تیار ہو گئے اور بالکل خوش نہیں بنے۔ مفتی صاحب کا پروگرام یہ ہمارے شہر بنگلور کا یہ آج آخری پروگرام ہے، کل کی واپسی ہے، اور ہم نے گزارش کی تھی گزشتہ 2 دن پہلے ہمارے مدرسے کا مولانا نے ان کا مستورات میں بیان ہوا تھا، میں نے ان سے گزارش کی تھی کہ 8 سال میں 12 دن ہمارے لیے دے دیجیے۔ تو مشکل کام ہے، دنیا بھر کے اور ان کی ذمہ داریاں بہت سارے لوگ کے کام ہیں، لیکن جو بھی دے رہے ہیں ہمارے جو اکابر علماء دیتے ہیں، جو وقت دیتے ہیں، بڑی غنیمت ہے۔ ان اپرچونیٹیز کو ہی حاصل کرنا چاہیے، اس سے فائدہ اٹھانے کی کوشش کرنا چاہیے۔ مفتی صاحب کا ایک بڑا کارنامہ یہ ہے کہ انہوں نے اپنی کم عمری میں 2 اٹلانٹکس میں انہوں نے خدمات انجام دی ہیں۔ ایک طرف انہوں نے 8 سال تک کیلیفورنیا میں امامت کی ہے، پھر ادھر لندن میں 5 سال سے امامت کی ہے، اور اسی طرح ماشاءاللہ دنیا بھر میں ان کے پروگرامز ہوتے رہتے ہیں۔ ابھی کچھ ماہ پہلے جارڈن میرا بھی جانا ہوا کانفرنس میں مفتی صاحب بھی آئے ہوئے تھے، انہوں نے ہندوستان میں دین اور اسلام کس طرح آیا، کن ذرائع سے آیا، اس پر ایک بڑا اچھا انہوں نے ایک مقالہ پیش کیا تھا، ان کا ایک رپورٹ پیش کی تھی، جس کے اندر انہوں نے ہندوستان میں جو دین اور اسلام آیا اس کی تفصیلات بتاتے ہوئے کہا کہ ہمارے صوفیوں نے، بزرگان دین نے، علماء نے، اکابر نے اس ملک میں اسلام کی دعوت اور اسلام کو پھیلانے کا جو کام کیا ہے وہ اپنے اخلاق سے، اپنے کردار سے، اپنے رہن سہن سے اور اپنی لوگوں کے ساتھ ملاقات کا جو طریقہ ہے، نبی کریم علیہ السلام کا بتایا ہوا مصنون طریقہ ہے، ان طریقوں سے اور دین کی اسلام کو پھیلانے میں اس طرح زبردست رول ہمارے صوفیاء کرام نے انجام دیا ہے، بزرگان دین نے انجام دیا ہے، انہی کے ذریعے سے اسلام کو بڑا فروغ ملا ہے ہمارے ملک میں۔ تو یہ بڑا اچھا پیارا ہم نے مقالہ اس وقت پر وہاں کے دنیا بھر سے جو لوگ آئے تھے ان کے سامنے پیش کیا تھا۔ اسی طرح اللہ نے ان کو اتنی مقبولیت دی ہے کہ انٹرنیشنل لیول پر 500 انفلوئنشل لوگوں کی جو فہرست بنائی گئی تھی اس میں مفتی صاحب کا بھی نام ہے، وہ بھی، اور مولانا محمود بدری صاحب کا بھی اس میں نام ہے۔ تو اتنی چھوٹی سی عمر میں جب انہوں نے اتنا کام کر لیا تو اللہ تعالیٰ نے ان کو اتنا اونچے مقام سے نوازا ہے۔ ہمیں بھی دین کے سلسلے میں فکر کرنی چاہیے، کوشش کرنی چاہیے، دین کی محنت اور دین کی تبلیغ اور دین کی اشاعت، دین کو قیامت تک آنے والے انسانوں تک پہنچانا وہ ہم میں سے ہر ایک کی ذمہ داری ہے۔ ہم میں سے ہر ایک کے کندھوں پر وہ ذمہ داری حضرت نبی کریم علیہ السلام نے ڈالی ہے، تو ہمیں اپنے اپنے اعتبار سے اس کی بھی کوشش کرنی چاہیے کہ دین ہماری زندگی میں بھی داخل ہو، دین ہمارے گھرانے میں، خاندانوں میں، نسلوں میں اور دنیا بھر کے انسانوں تک اللہ کا بھیجا ہوا لایا ہوا دین کو کس طرح پہنچے، اور جو لوگ پہنچاتے ہیں ان کا ہمیں ساتھ دینا چاہیے، جب ہم نہیں کر رہے ہیں تو پہنچانے والے، کام کرنے والوں کا ہمیں ساتھ دینا چاہیے۔ ایسی مجلسیں جہاں پر علماء اور دینی رہنما اور دینی رہبر اور پیشوا جمع ہوتے ہیں، وہ بڑی مبارک مجلسیں ہوتی ہیں، بڑی بابرکت مجلسیں ہوتی ہیں۔ سرکار دو عالم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے ایک حدیث میں فرمایا، کن عالما او متعلما او مستمعا او محبا فلا تکن خامسا دہرک۔ آپ نے فرمایا، صحابی کو نصیحت کرتے ہوئے فرمایا کہ تم عالم بنو یا طالب علم بنو یا ان علماء اور طلباء سے محبت کرنے والے بنو یا پھر ان کی باتوں کو سننے والے بنو۔ ان 4 کے علاوہ 5واں نہ بنو، اگر بنو گے تو ہلاک ہو جاؤ گے۔ یہ نبی علیہ السلام کا یہ ارشاد ہے۔ تو یہ مجلس جو ہماری اس مسجد میں لوگ جمع ہیں، 4 میں سے کسی نہ کسی گروہ میں جماعت میں ان کا شمار ہوتا ہے۔ اس میں علماء بھی ہیں، اس میں طلباء بھی ہیں، اس میں سب علماء اور طلباء سے سننے کے لیے آئے ہیں اور ان سے محبت کرنے کے لیے آئے ہیں، دینداروں سے محبت کے جذبے سے آئے ہیں۔ تو لہٰذا یہ اللہ کے نبی علیہ السلام کی جو حدیث ہے جس میں خوشخبری اور مبارکبادی دی گئی ہے، کسی نہ کسی درجے میں ہم سب اس کے مستحق بھی ہیں اور اس جماعت میں ہم شامل بھی ہیں۔ ابھی اسی طرح دینی مجلسوں میں، دین کے حلقوں میں بیٹھ کر اپنے دین کو، اپنے ایمان کو تازہ کرتے رہنے کی ضرورت ہے۔ اللہ کے نبی علیہ السلام نے صحابہ سے فرمایا جددوا ایمانکم۔ صحابہ نے پوچھا کیف نجدد ایماننا یا رسول اللہ، یعنی آپ علیہ السلام نے فرمایا کہ اپنے ایمان کی تجدید کرو، اپنے ایمان کو تازہ کرو، اپنے ایمان کو رینیو کرو۔ صحابہ نے پوچھا کہ رسول کیسے تجدید کر سکتے ہیں؟ تو آپ نے فرمایا کہ لا الہ الا اللہ، لا الہ الا اللہ کے ورد کو کثرت سے پڑھتے رہو، اس سے تمہارے ایمان کی تجدید ہوگی، ایمان تازہ ہوگا، ایمان بڑھتا رہے گا، ایمان میں اضافہ ہوگا۔ تو یہ وہ مجلسیں ہیں جن مجلسوں کے اندر بیٹھیں گے تو انشاءاللہ ہمارے ایمان میں تقویت بھی پیدا ہوگی، تازگی بھی پیدا ہوگی، ایمان بھی بڑھے گا۔ ہم سب کو ایسے مجلسوں میں بارہا بیٹھنے کی، شرکت کرنے کی، اس سے پیدا اٹھانے کی توفیق عطا فرمائیں۔ ابھی صاحب تشریف لا چکے ہیں، بغیر کسی تاخیر کے، بغیر کسی تمہید کے میں حضرت سے گزارش کرتا ہوں کہ اپنی قیمتی نصیحتوں سے اس مجمع کو مستفید فرمائیں۔ جہاں ماشاءاللہ مستورات بھی آئی ہیں، مطلب حال میں لیڈیز بھی بیٹھی ہوئی ہیں، اس سلسلے میں بھی کچھ باتیں کرنا چاہیے۔
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ۔ وعلیکم السلام۔ بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم۔ الحمد للہ حمدا کثیرا طیبا مبارکا فیہ مبارکا علیہ كما يحب ربنا ويرضى جل جلاله وعم نواله، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الحبيب المصطفى صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين، أما بعد۔ مجھے گرم ہونا ہے، وہ ابھی تھوڑا گرم ہونا ہے، پھر وہ ہو جائے گا۔ قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد ولقد أرسلنا رسلا من قبلك وجعلنا لهم أزواجا وذرية صدق الله العظيم. So my dear brothers and dear sisters and dear friends and dear elders, and we have children here as well. So now my job is very difficult because I have to speak to elders, middle-aged and children. That's tough unless I ignore somebody. You can't ignore anyone. What I want to speak about is relationships. I'll speak about this regarding marriage, but what I say, inshallah, it can apply to any relationship, business relationships, neighbor relationships, and any relationship. So inshallah, this should be relevant for those who are looking to get married, and for those who are married already, and for those who are veterans in marriage. Do we have any veterans in marriage here? Any veterans in marriage? Married for over 30, 40 years? Okay.
Lots of them.
Oh, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. जेल में फिर हरकत होती है, then you get noise.
Very sorry.
अभी कहाँ रखेंगे आप? यहाँ रखेंगे तो ये हरकत होगी. I've done this before. It's the best place is here.
This is disturbing this one.
Then put this one here.
Okay. Allow it.
You can stick this here somehow.
Let's do it. Okay.
Is that fine? ठीक हो गया? माशाल्लाह. Microphones and masjids. इनकी आपस में बनती नहीं है. Any masjid you go to, it's very difficult. And always there's some issue. Allah asan kare. Alhamdulillah. So, I want to ask a question that we need to prepare for marriage. How does one prepare for marriage? Preparation for marriage is that जब तारीख फिक्स हो जाती है तो फिर हर वीकेंड शॉपिंग का वीकेंड हो जाता है. इतना ही काम पड़ता है. That's why the best marriage is when you have the shortest time in between. जल्दी get तैयारी कर लो, nikah kar lo, let them go on their way. Otherwise you prepare. So the focus on preparation for marriage is on the day, the 2 days maybe, nikah day, walima day, maybe 1 or 2 days, honeymoon agar ho to uska. How many people you're going to invite? What food are you going to give them? What gifts are you going to take? Ye sara preparation mein lag jata hai. Right? That's preparation for marriage. I wrote a book on marriage called Handbook of a Healthy Muslim Marriage. And before I published, I sent it to 20 different people to read. I want you to read this and then give me feedback, critical feedback. Majority of the 20 people were women. Why did I send it to women? Because I wanted it to be relevant to women. I'm not a woman, never been a woman, and never will be a woman, so I don't know what it means to be a woman. So I need the women's input. So I sent it to multiple women, took the feedback, took what I thought was good. So then if you publish your book without nobody reading it and then they start telling you this here, isme ye hai, isme ye keh sakte the, wo keh sakte the, you understand? Best to let people criticize it first. Take what's good and leave the rest and bismillah. Somebody, he said, you haven't mentioned anything about pre-marital counseling. Pre-marital counseling. मैंने कहा कि there's not enough counselors for after marriage counseling and you want pre-marital counseling. लेकिन he's got a point. So I included a bit, but what I'm going to share now, आप में से बाज़ लोगों ने किताब पढ़ी होगी, right? What I'm going to share now is not in the kitab. This is special content for free. This is about how to really prepare for marriage. Although this is about how to prepare for marriage, the people who are already married, they should find this relevant. And this is your cousins who are should be getting married, have you prepared them for this? Why should you prepare? We never prepared in history. Ye kahan se baat aayi? Because historically speaking, about 40-50 years ago, the job, the role of a husband and wife was clear. And that role was the same for centuries. The husband was going to do the work, whether in the field or business or whatever. The wife, she didn't have too many things to think about. She only had to think that where am I going to live? Lekin mujhe wahan jaake kuch pakana hai aur saaf karna hai and have children, and that was the job. There was no occupation. Maybe I need to help in the shop or field, but there was no, women didn't have occupations. They didn't have any degrees. There was no concept of that. Aisa tha hi nahi. And still now in many cultures it's not there. But we're living in Bangalore as well. There's women in universities and jobs and occupations and so on. So now you have to prepare because there's a lot more complications involved. This question to the wife, that would you like to work after marriage, would be irrelevant 50 years ago and for centuries. Do you think ever expect anybody to ask that? Bewakoof hoga na. Right? It was clear what she was going to do. But now you better ask that question, otherwise it's going to be surprising. If professional, you have to ask that question. You have to ask questions. Are you going to travel? Will your company send you to X, Y, and Z place? If you want to stay at home, well, if that's relevant to you. Can you see how it's all changed now? That's why preparation is very important. So in my book I have about 50 questions that you can ask. Don't ask all of them. वो एक आदमी गया था वो 1, 2, 3 like interview जैसा, कहा कि नहीं आपके साथ निकाह नहीं करना है. What you do is you just read through and think which relevant to your main ones, and then you just ask those casually. But how do you prepare for marriage? So the way to prepare for marriage is, firstly we have to understand what marriage is about. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that women are married for usually 4 reasons. He's talking to men, so he's saying men usually look for 4 reasons, 4 characteristics in a woman for marriage. One is wealth, beauty, her family lineage, how good the family is, hasab nasab as they say. And number 4 is the deen. There's many more, but these are the main ones. Nowadays you also look for what degree she has. In another country, another subcontinent country, there are multitudes of females who have become medical doctors, not to work, just to get a rishta. They go through whole of medicine and then they're just waiting for somebody to marry them. They don't want to be a doctor. Because unfortunately this is their culture. Doctor ke baghair, I won't get that kind of a... So this is all cultural issues. So, how do you prepare for marriage? So what we have to do today, we're going to do this together inshallah. We have to determine, right, what is the most important factors that destroy marriages, and do I have that factor inside me? The Prophet ﷺ said wealth, hasab nasab, beauty, and deen. So these things, the Prophet ﷺ said, make sure you are successful with the deen. But he didn't say that ignore the others. So if you get the deen plus the others, mashallah, nurun ala nur. However, if you focus just on beauty, then it's a problem, because marriage is not about looking. Only a bit of it is looking. It's part of it. You have to be attracted. But if you want to get the best model in town, what are you going to do with her? I'm talking to the men. What are you going to do with her? Take her, put her in your front room on a stage and just watch her all day. Because beauty is the most important. That's what you're going to do? Is that marriage? No, that's not marriage. But it's good to have somebody that you're attracted to. Number 2, family lineage. It's good to have somebody of good family lineage because that means they have good genes. Inshallah, that will transfer to your children. If somebody's good, then the extended family will have good akhlaq, inshallah. They won't come and try to beat you up anytime little thing happens. You have to be very careful which family you get married into, because if a small garbar happens, then they'll come and beat you up. What's the point of that? Okay, what about wealth? Is that important? Well, wealth is a good thing, because you might get some help. If you need to buy a house, maybe your in-laws will help you. Nothing wrong with that. But that can't be your exclusive reason, because you're not marrying money. Money won't answer all of your questions. It answers many questions, but not all of your questions. One of the benefits of money is that your children will eventually get a good inheritance from the mother's side as well. So there's nothing wrong with it. There's benefits in it as well, but it can't be your exclusive reason, right? If somebody gets all 4, alhamdulillah. If you get 3, very good. If you get 2, then it's still good. And if you get the deen, then alhamdulillah, that you got everything. So now the other thing is, what about women? The Prophet ﷺ was speaking to men. That's why he discussed the characteristics of women. Women also look for certain things nowadays. What are the main characteristics that they should look for in men? But all of these things apply. The deen, of course. I think in a man there should be stability. Is he savvy enough in the world to be able to earn a living and support his family? That's very important, isn't it? These are characteristics. And good family, good looking, attractive, and so on and so forth. Now I'm just going to divert a small while. We talked about beauty. What exactly is beauty? Can anybody here define beauty for me, please? Because this is something we deal with all the time, right? So how do you define beauty?
Skin deep character. Just the skin deep.
No, that's just that some beauty is skin deep. That's if it's physical beauty is skin deep. But akhlaq beauty is not skin deep, right? I want a definition of beauty. A character is where beauty is manifested. But I'm asking for definition of beauty. This is a philosophical question you didn't expect.
Something people get attracted to.
Some people get attracted to. That's what happens with beauty. But it still doesn't, I want a proper definition.
It's subjective. It is very subjective.
Yes, some beauty is subjective, I agree. Some beauty is subjective. But there's also an international understanding of balance. Beauty is balance. Remember this, beauty is balance. Proportion, equilibrium, i'tidal in everything. Nothing is too big, too small. For example, they have studied faces in many cultures of the world. And a certain proportionate face in multiple cultures of the world was considered beautiful in all of them. Because there's a certain calculation of this lip has to be up from the nose this far, and etc. I don't want to bore you with all of that right now. The main thing we have to realize is beauty. Why does this masjid look beautiful? Do you consider this masjid to be beautiful? Well, I'll tell you my reason is because they've used the colors wisely. They've used white and a contrast with brown. And they've got a bit of green somewhere. And it's not too much. I've seen masjids where they'll have black and brown and white, and the carpet will be red or something, and the ceiling will be a different color and like 5 colors. According to design, no more than 3 colors. 2 matching colors and 1 for just touch up somewhere. So alhamdulillah, it looks good. There's a reason behind everything. There's a reason behind everything. But it's balance. Why do most people consider certain phones to be beautiful? Because they've got certain sleekness and balance compared to others. So that's what beauty is. It's balance. Now, leave that for now. I'll bring that up later, inshallah. How do you prepare for marriage? So we need to find out which are the characteristics that disturb marriages and harm marriages. So now please tell me what characteristics, give me one, that disturbs marriages. Sorry? I didn't hear that.
Misunderstanding, he says.
Oh, misunderstanding. Yeah, definitely. What else? Huh?
Complexity.
No, that's too complex for me. Yeah, basic stuff. You guys are complex, man. Anger.
Aggression.
You guys agree? Anger, right? Because complexity is difficult because it just depends if. ये क्या हो गया? What's this problem in all of these masjids? मर्दों में आवाज़ आती है, ladies में नहीं जाती है. Aren't they on the same system? क्या होता है? The other masjid is the same thing. औरतों को नहीं सुना, आपको सुना है. Why isn't it on the same system? ये अलग-अलग system. Okay. चलो, माशाल्लाह, alhamdulillah. Can you ladies hear now? They can hear? How do you know? So let's take anger, ghussa. This is one of the worst things in marriage. Do you guys agree? Yes. How do you know? Experience. So, for those brothers and sisters who are not yet married, what should you do? The way you prepare for marriage is you need to learn to control your anger. Otherwise, it's going to spoil your marriage. And those who are already married, they know this already. They need to learn to control their anger, otherwise their future is going to get worse. It doesn't get better. I'll tell you something. In the last 1 year or 1.5 years, I've dealt with 4 or 5 marriages that are over 20 years old. They have children who are like 17 to 20 something. And it's a point of no return now. Why? Because they did not get help before. Or they were just told, sabr karo, sabr karo, sabr karo. Right? That doesn't always work. You need to deal with the matter. Sabr ek had tak hoti hai, sirf agar wo औरत या मर्द अगर वो वली हो तो फिर वो ऐसा सब्र करेगा कि मौत तक करेगा. Otherwise, most people are not like that. Somebody needs to deal with it. So, for example, one woman used to call me 7-8 years ago. We have issues. I said, look, you need to get some help. You need to do something. She said, no, I'm too scared. Okay. After 1.5-2 years, another call, and it's worse now. But she's still not willing to get help. She thinks I can help. I can't. I don't have magic. You know, they call scholars thinking that हम कोई ऐसा वजीफा देंगे कि बस मसला हल हो जाएगा. ऐसा कोई वजीफा, I don't think I don't have one. You have to take some hard decisions. You have to make changes. You have to get help. Otherwise, nothing changes. So then she calls again after 1.5 years. You know, when it gets too difficult, then she calls. And I said, look, you keep calling me. I've told you what you need to do. Now it's come to a point, after all of these years, they're not even sleeping in the same room. But she's still too scared to take action. Sometimes it's the other way around. It could be multiple ways. But what I'm saying is, if you have an anger problem, now how do you tell if you have an anger problem? Because most of us may have problems where we never recognize it. If you have an anger problem, the simple way to tell is just compare yourself to your brothers and sisters. Which one of you gets angry faster? You probably got a problem then. Or compare yourself to your friends. Do you get angry quickly? Then you need to learn to control it. How do you control it? I think I had an anger problem. I learned to control it by reading the verses in the Quran. Some of the hadith which discuss how to control anger. The Prophet ﷺ told Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu, because Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu once had a little argument in a field with somebody and he got angry. So he sat down. It was muddy. He sat down. And then after that he lay down. He said, what are you doing in the field, in the muddy field? Why are you lying down? So this is what the Prophet ﷺ told me. Because when you're standing up and you're angry, you're more likely to be more confrontational and do something. If you sit down, you kind of physically, it helps to calm you down. And if you lie down, it calms you down further. That's why they say that if you want to criticize someone, agar kisi ko kuch kadwi baat kehni hai, so don't ever say, you find someone in masjid, brother, I need to talk to you, aapse baat karni. They're standing outside and aap go, oh baat keh de, he's going to get defensive. What you do is sit him down. And they say the best is if you can lie him down. Phir criticize karo. Lie him down, takiya wagera ke saath kuch khana rakh do, phir lagao. He'll be more receptive. Because you're less confrontational. This is the study. So, the other thing you can do is take an online anger management course. The main thing is you have to be sincere and genuine that I need my marriage to be improved. Otherwise it's going to mess up and it's give an unstable relationship, unstable home, and the children have an imbalance because there's anger going on all the time. If I have a problem, let me get help. You don't have to tell anybody. Go and sign up yourself for an anger management course. Fayda hota hai. So that was anger, right? I can't tell you everything today, but it's just the way to think about this. Everybody can do this themselves. Okay, after anger, what's the next issue? What's another big issue? There's lots of issues, but another issue I will say is sensitivity. Sensitivity and crying easily. And then breaking up. मैं आपसे बात नहीं करूँगा. So, छोटी बात हो गई, somebody said misunderstanding, right? Somebody said misunderstanding. So, थोड़ी सी misunderstanding हो गई, थोड़ी गलती हो गई, oversight, whatever. So you start crying because you're very sensitive. So you start crying. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. There was one case I know of a woman, she got married to this family that had, her husband was fine. He didn't have a father. He had a mother and he had some brothers and sisters who were disabled. She was still fine. I don't mind. I'll do khidmat. I don't mind staying. They got married. And then after that, the mother-in-law, whenever some little issue happens, she stops talking to her for 2 days. How can you live like that where somebody is not talking to you for 2 days? Deal with the matter and move on. One day my son, who was about 7 at the time, 7 years, he came back from school and somebody must have, what about your friend? How old are you? Oh, you're 11. Okay. So he said, I'm not talking to him. So we said, where did you learn that from? Because we don't have the habit कि आपसे भी बात नहीं करेंगे. That's a very lazy habit. I'm just not going to talk to you. Deal with the matter and move on. So he said, La hawla wala, where did you learn it? He must have learnt it from a friend. So he said, no, you can't do that. Deal with the matter. You're 11, right? Do you have anybody in your school that sometimes bothers you? You do, right? What do you do with them? Do you beat them up? No. So what do you do? A lot of them.
You won't talk to them.
Oh, you won't talk to them. That means you avoid them or you just don't talk to them? You just avoid them. I'll tell you one more thing you should do. Make dua for them. That, Ya Allah, I have to live with these guys for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Unke saath time guzarna hai. Ya Allah, make them good people and make me a good person as well. Inshallah, Allah Ta'ala will help you. Because one is you can avoid them, but how long can you avoid them for? Make dua for them. If they become nice people, mashallah. You understand? You can do this for everyone. You can do this for everything. So now these people, some of these issues are more in men and some of these issues are more in women. So if you have emotion, like you just get sensitive quickly and you stop talking to somebody and then you start crying, I'll give some suggestion of how you can deal with this. What you do is start reading the Quran. Make a habit of reading the Quran with meaning. Tarjume ke saath. And you'll find as you go through, you will find multiple things to reflect and cry on. And pour your emotions out in there. Otherwise you'll be crying for free and nothing will happen. जब भी आपको थोड़ी सी परेशानी हो, आप रोने लग जाएंगे, मुफ्त में रो रहे हैं आप, कुछ नहीं हो रहा है उससे. You're just feeling sorry for yourself, feeling like a victim. Nobody feels sorry for you. You understand? What's the point of that? I said there's people on the 27th night, they can't cry, they try their best, they can't cry. MashaAllah, you're crying for free. So instead of that, do two things. Number one, start reading the Quran with translation. Everybody should do this anyway. And you will see that within a page or two, कोई ऐसी बात मिल जाएगी वहाँ जिसके ऊपर आपको रोना आ जाएगा. Now cry, and that will be beneficial crying. Barakati crying. Number two, if you can't do that and you want to cry, just put your hands out to Allah and cry to Him in a dua rather than wasting your crying doing nothing. The only one who can help you is Allah anyway, so cry to Allah. So channel your emotion and you'll see that you'll do much better. Okay, that was number two. Number three. Let's take number three. Another issue. Another issue that will affect a marriage and is affecting marriages is kanjusi. Stinginess. Okay, now let's get this straight. Don't point at anybody. If the wife is stingy, I think that's a good thing. क्या ख्याल है? वो आपके पैसे को अच्छी तरह से संभालेगी. She won't do extra shopping. She can do, so it's good. It's okay. Right? I know some people, their wife likes to spend so much that they ask for itemized bill at the end of each month. Or they give them budget. However, if the man is stingy, then that's a problem. Because in Islam, I explained this in the other bayan, in Islam, my children, if they have their own money from Eid or from gifts or from inheritance, unki apne paise, I can spend that on them. Unke khane ke liye, libas ke liye, and school fees, whatever, I can spend that. I don't have to spend my money on them. Most people spend their own money and they usko bada hifazat se rakhte hain ki nahi isko nahi charge karte, nahi galat baat hai. You can spend from that on the children, that's theirs. You can spend it on them. In fact, if you want, I'm not giving ideas, but you can charge them for the room rent as well. Aisa mat karna. But what I'm trying to say is that for their needs you can spend. Right? Your job is to look after them with their money if they have it. It's not necessary. However, with your wife, even if she's a millionaire, genuinely, if she's a millionaire, richer than you, you still have to spend on her food, clothing, and living, boarding, room, shelter. Your responsibility. Yes, if she wants to help, it's fine. But that's what it is. And what standard? The standard is based on both the husband and wife's social standing. So if her family spend from a certain, मुझे यहाँ दुकानों का पता नहीं है, they go to a certain type of low-end shops, that's all you have to do. You can do more if you want to. If they're from a high class, they only shop in these big malls, then हाथी को लाए तो पालना है उसको, खाना भी खिलाना पड़ेगा उसको. So it's according to the urf and the custom of that family. There's just some fiqhi about it, just so that we understand. Now if the man is conjuice, then once I have a call from a woman, and she said, you know, my issue is that my husband is very, very stingy. Now, बात ऐसे ही मान तो नहीं सकते हम. I said, give me example. He said, हमारे यहाँ जो cupboards होते हैं, वो ऐसे है कि they're just about surviving. दरवाजे, they're going to fall off any time. Things like this. So I said, let me talk to your husband. You have to confirm. Is your husband there? He said, yes. So then I asked, talked to the husband. I said, what's the issue? He said, I said, what about these cupboards? He said, they're surviving. Chalte hai, they said. Right? So the other, they had a lot of complaints, but one of them was that she became health conscious. So she wants organic milk. And he buys cheap, regular milk. Organic milk costs maybe 50, 60 pennies more than normal milk. I said, इनके लिए कुछ ना कुछ करना पड़ेगा, ये इतना बड़ा मसला बन चुका है. So I said to the husband separately, I said, look, let's make a hisab that if you bought organic milk instead of normal milk, how much milk do you use a week? He said, this much. I said, let's do the hisab in 1 year, how much more are you going to need? So it was about 70, 80, 100 pounds maximum. I said, come on. उनको उसमें तो राजी कर लो. We'll talk about the cupboards later. Right? So कंजूसी is a big thing. कंजूसी is like हम रेस्टोरेंट में गए खाने के लिए, तो जब पैसे देने का वक्त हुआ तो हाथ धोने के लिए चले गए. I'm not giving ideas. I'm just saying this is just. So conjusi for men is a problem in marriage. There's the Prophet ﷺ, I think the only place he allowed somebody to take somebody else's money without telling them was a wife from a husband. Now listen carefully here, and I don't want the women to take the wrong fatwa. Okay? But Hind binti Abi Sufyan, Hind, I forget her other name, her father's name, but she is the wife of Abu Sufyan radiyallahu anhu. बाद में मुसलमान हो गए थे, पहले तो वो अदावत उनकी थी. So he was very stingy. So she came and complained to the Prophet. The Prophet said, you can take as much as you genuinely, basically need. Okay, as I said, I'm not giving a fatwa. If your husband is stingy or nahi deta hai, to ask a mufti first, explain your kharche and all of that, and then if he gives you ijazat, then you can do it. Otherwise, I don't want the men going from here and then, their wives are going to start taking money from them. I don't want that to happen. So, you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why am I discussing this? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created every single one of us with certain qualities and certain weaknesses or challenges. No two brothers are alike. You'll have a family of 2, 3 brothers, 2, 3 sisters. One of them is definitely going to be smarter than the others. One gets more angrier than the others. One is more passionate than the others. One is laid back, the other one is go get it. Very different. Even twins are very different. Some people are inquisitive, other people, they don't care. Right? So now our job is to find out what our strengths are and use them in the right way and understand our weaknesses and control them. Otherwise we're losers in this world. And remember, Allah has given every single person capabilities and some weaknesses. So you might be very smart, very good speaker, but you might be very stingy. So mashallah, use your ability to speak and smartness in the right way and sort out your stinginess. You understand? Everybody has a different combination. Tell me how many of us here, genuinely, I want a reaction, how many of you have discovered at least one weakness and one strength in you? Just one. Okay. It's very important, otherwise the rest of you are losers if you don't, so you better. I mean, if you're surviving and mashallah, you're doing well, you've discovered it. Have you discovered your weaknesses as well? People are bothered by it, but you maybe just ignore it. It's also important to be a good human being with good akhlaq to recognize your weaknesses. Very important. So that's why I said you might have one of these problems. Okay, let's move on now. It's important. The next one, let's just say the person is too obsessed with cricket or YouTube or Facebook or his work or doing Uber, anything. All right? It's 20 hours. And wo bichari pareshan hokar baith rahi hai. Or he's too much into his friends. So he's got married now, kaam pe jata hai, comes back and then goes out to his friends, and she's waiting with the food until 12 o'clock at night, and she's fallen asleep on the dastarkhan or on the table, and then you come back later and you've already eaten with your friends. That's a problem. You need to invest in this. Or you're too much into your family. So jab bhi mauka ho to apne ghar chali gayi, and you just about come here, like some hotel or something. That's a problem. You have to invest until you're on the road. Then after that you can decide what to do. Even with us ulama, if you're very research oriented, aap apne kitabon ke piche lage hue hote hain, you could also be neglecting. It can happen in anything you're obsessed about. Anybody like that, obsessed about something that is affecting their marriage? You don't have to tell me, but it's something to think about. I just want this to be a reflective session, because if your marriages are messed up, your life is messed up. You're not getting the emotional fulfillment. And if you don't have emotional fulfillment, your marriage is messed up, your household is messed up. And that means the children are being brought up in an unstable environment. Then they grow up to have different problems because they didn't get the full good experience. That's why sort it out. Don't leave it for too long. Because aaj ek problem and you didn't sort it out. I mean, there will be problems, by the way. You know, don't get fixated on every small problem. There will be problems. But a small problem. And you didn't do anything and it bothers you at night, but you're just not doing anything about it. You have another problem. Because problems come. Here, two individuals, issues will come about. Then you get another problem and another problem. So when I'm dealing with these old marriages, there's too many problems to sort out. 20 problems. Think of it this way, for those who can see, when you have a problem, you go down. Another problem, you go down further. So you go distant from one another. You have to climb out of this ditch to meet together again. So if you just have one problem, it's easy to climb out. If you have 20 problems and you've gone 10 meters down, well, kaise aap niklenge wahan se and get back together? Think of it that way. How deep is your problem? Think of it that way. How deep are your problems? Okay, we have some people, mashallah, amazing people. They are never wrong. There's some people who are always right. They never make mistakes. They always have the best opinion. They're always right. Right? Have you seen those people? You've never seen them? There's a lot. Bangalore mein kitne hai aise? Bangalore is a very special city, so you must have a lot of really perfect people that never make mistakes in their life. Right?
Everyone makes mistakes.
No, there's some people who never make mistakes. Ask them, they never make mistakes. They're always right. You didn't know that? Is there anybody like that here? I'm looking for this person because मैंने पूरी दुनिया में पूछा और मुझे कहीं नहीं मिला. I'm hoping कि Bangalore में कोई ऐसा फर्द मिल जाए that never makes mistakes. Oh, mashallah.
Man has come to the world by committing a mistake.
Mashallah.
Adam has committed a mistake here. Now, how can we avoid the mistake now?
Okay, Jazakallah.
Adam कैसा है? गलती करके दुनिया में.
गलती करके दुनिया में.
गलती हमारी ही जाएगी.
ठीक है.
हम avoid कैसा करें? 100% no.
Okay, let's carry on then. The problem is that I get calls sometimes from the husband or the wife, usually from the wife. My husband is like this, or my father is like this, or my mother is like this. I said, "Take it, that's fine." I said, "Look, if you can't deal," they've been trying to deal with it. I said, "Okay, tell your father, tell his father." No, he doesn't listen to him. I said, "Tell your father," he doesn't listen to him. Tell the local imam, he doesn't listen to anyone. He's always right. He doesn't know. He says, you do what you want, I'm right, nobody can tell me. So what are these people? Aren't they always right? And none of you said that that was possible? Our, mashallah, our chacha there, he said that Adam alayhi salam came here. So where are these people coming from then? That people are bringing complaint to me. You know what I'm saying? These are narcissistic people. Modern word for it is narcissism. They think they're right all the time. Any narcissists here? Well, anyway, I've told you the description. If it's you, then you're a narcissist. You better sort yourself out. Otherwise, you are giving a lot of pareshani. Beautiful word, pareshani. Right? No word like that in English. Just pareshan. Right? You're giving pareshani to your family and you don't realize it. Because everybody has to just walk on eggshells while they're around you, because kuch ho gaya, that's it. You blow your top. Because these are the issues. If you have these issues, your families are messed up, your community is messed up, and then the Muslim Ummah is messed up. It has to start at home. And then your children are unstable. We're growing children that are messed up. And that's wrong psychologically. Children need both the father and mother. There's a lot of research, especially in girls, that a father has to be involved. Some of the studies show even a biological effect, that girls whose fathers are hardly ever there, either because she's a single mother or because talaq ho gayi, ya ye ke wo aisa itna kaam karta hai ki he's never there, they will start their period sooner. Another problem with this is they will be more prone to grooming, because they're looking for a father figure. Jo ghar mein nahi mila, they're looking for a father figure. Koi uski tareef karega, usko kuch care, they show them some praise and comfort, they'll be ready to go there. Psychologically, children need both the father and mother and a stable relationship. That's why we usually say, some people say that the children are most important in a family. I believe the husband and wife are most important in a family, because if they are sorted, inshallah, if they're on the same wavelength, the children will be fine. So you understand now? And then it's worse nowadays. The husband, I'll say this in veiled language, because we got bache here. The wife is waiting in bed and the husband is in another room on a laptop. And this is a major issue. He's doing his spreadsheets on the laptop. He's so involved in his work that he's doing his spreadsheets. Right? So, these are big issues. Now, we don't have too much time, but some people, they come and ask, can you tell me the basic obligations of marriage? Nikah ke faraiz kya hai? Hame namaz ke faraiz bata do. I'll tell you the namaz ke faraiz. Who knows the namaz ke faraiz? Anybody? Yeah, go on. Namaz ke faraiz, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar keh diya, फिर पता नहीं कहाँ हाथ छोड़ेंगे, इससे कि वो फर्ज नहीं है, हाथ बांधना फर्ज नहीं है. Allahu Akbar. खड़े खड़े Allahu Akbar. एक आयत, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, या कुल हु Allahu ahad. Any आयत, फर्ज अदा हो गया. थोड़ी देर खड़े हो गए, कुल हु Allahu ahad. Ruku, you don't need to read anything. Sajda, 2 sajdas, and then sit for the time it takes to do tashahud. That's the fard. Salam is not fard either, wo wajib hai. Now imagine if somebody does namaz like that, hum kya kahenge aisi namaz ko? That's not a namaz. Uske saath hum wajib ko bhi ada karte hain, aur usme jo sunnat hai wo bhi ada karte hain. Durood Sharif is sunnat, but we do it. Nobody misses that out. First salam is wajib, second salam is sunnat. Do you ever see somebody doing one salam? Not in India. If you go to West Africa, वो नमाज ख़त्म करेंगे और फिर ऐसे ही सामने देखते हुए से अस्सलामु अलैकुम, and they'll walk away. Why are they doing that? It's a Maliki mazhab. Salam सामने, one salam, और सिर्फ अस्सलामु अलैकुम. You're going to think ये क्या कर रहा है? इसको नमाज पढ़ने नहीं आती है. Just telling you, just in case you ever see this. India में तो I don't think there's any Malikis. There's some Shafis, but there's no Malikis. Right? So the namaz is not anything with just the fard. So that's why people who say, what's my obligation in marriage? And that's all you're going to focus on, you're going to have a very dry, ugly marriage. Surviving, just surviving. Farz ada ho gaya bas. That's not a marriage. Marriage is based on love and emotional fulfillment. So, what you need now is you need for a successful marriage, you need a love bank account. How many of you have a love bank account? Any of you signed up for a love bank account for your marriage? Come on, kisi ke paas to ho. You're such a tech savvy people and you don't even have a love bank account? Nobody?
Never heard about it.
Okay, well, I'll promote it today in the masjid. Ek bada zabardast account, right? And inshallah I'll make a lot of profit. So this is a business venture for the akhirat, inshallah. Right, so it's allowed. I can't make business in the masjid otherwise. So a love bank account is that if I do anything extra beyond the expectation for my wife, I've deposited into the love bank account. Ek balance dal raha hai. For example, if I bought her flowers, I don't buy her flowers, but if I one day went and bought her flowers, she'll think, mashallah. So now I did that, and I made some tea for her. I make my wife's tea twice a day, English tea, not Indian tea. That's the little khidmat I do. Targheeb de raha aapko. Right? You don't have to if you don't want to, right? But let's just say that I made her something. Tomorrow, if we have a little misunderstanding and argument, Shaitan will try to make it sound worse. Oh, he hates me. He's probably interested in that girl at work. He's like this, he's like that. Oh, Shaitan aake bahut sara paranoia. He's paranoid, they make you. However, if you have a love bank balance, she's going to think, no, kal to he bought me flowers. He can't be hating me. You understand? So she will take from the balance. Phir aapko aur banna padega usme. The wife should do the same thing. Husband and wife should do the same. Anything extra. That's what this relationship is based on, love. So you have to find the beauty of each in other, akhlaq and everything else. The balance. There must be some beauty in the husband and wife. Some beauty. If not facial beauty, must be something else. Koi akhlaqi beauty, kindness, empathy, compassion. Kuch na kuch to hoga. Come on. As I said to you before, Allah has not created anybody without any qualities. Har aadmi mein qualities hai aur kuch weaknesses hai. If you focus on the weaknesses, you won't see the qualities. The Prophet ﷺ said that you should not hate a woman, your wife. If you are not satisfied with one quality, there's other things you should be satisfied with. Just you have to look at things holistically. You can never have perfection. There is no perfect person. So how can you have a perfect wife or a perfect husband? You can't. It's impossible. You do the best. And then you keep reading the dua. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Our Lord, grant us, give us from our spouses. So husband can read it for the wife, wife can read it for the husband, and from our children and descendants. Pure sabke liye dua hai. Those that will become the joy of my sight. The ulama mentioned that ye aisi powerful dua hai, that if you read this, then aapke partner mein, yani your husband or wife, unke andar kuch jo khamiyan hai, ya to wo khatam ho jayegi, or they won't bother you anymore. Your focus will become something else, and they won't bother you anymore. I'm telling you this. You can do this with anybody. If you want to focus on the negatives, you can. If you're a negative person, you're going to be in trouble. So, love bank balance. Now, in love bank balance, you have to. So everybody knows the account now, right? So abhi aap kal se, aaj se hi shuru kar do. Now, be careful. I gave example of flowers. So one person came to me after one bayan. He said, Sheikh, I want to tell you that once I bought my wife flowers, and she got so angry that, what kind of flowers did you buy me? I said, I don't blame her. आपने बस कोई भी flowers ऐसे ही खींच लिया कहीं से. She likes flowers, she knows flowers. Then you have to give some thought. If you go and buy flowers, the same old flowers every Friday, and give it to her, she's going to be tired of that. That's not love language. You have to you have to put some love and thought in it. Like, I'm willing to think about you, and I'll buy you different flowers. And it's not only flowers, you can buy whatever she wants, whatever you think she's going to like. It's about the thought and the surprise factor. You also can't, like, Eid ke din aapne bada hadiya de diya, aur uske baad phir, so it's like, do we have any dentist here? Koi dentist hai yahan? उनसे मुझे फतवा पूछना है, डेंटल फतवा. एनीबॉडी? तो आप लोग कहाँ जाते हैं जब दांत का मसला हो? यहाँ कोई डेंटिस्ट नहीं? Okay, ठीक है. Oh, they're scared, right? Yeah. Your father's a dentist. Your mother's a dentist. MashaAllah. Okay, ask her this question. Okay, if somebody, every day they say you have to brush your teeth, sometimes twice a day. So it's a bit of a hassle to brush your teeth every day. So if on Sunday I brush my teeth for half an hour, then don't I have to do it for the rest of the week? A dentist ka bachcha, he should know. What do you think?
Because the mouth resets. Cannot be on the same position.
Yeah, but I did it for half an hour. Half an hour, then I don't have to do it for 7 days. Just ask your mom, okay? You shouldn't do that, by the way. Iska koi a bit, small bit.
Because if you brush continuously for half an hour, it will attack.
Exactly, it'll be harmful for you. Exactly, yeah. But in this case, it won't be harmful. In this case, the hadiyah, it won't be harmful, but do bit by bit. Why do you need to do this? Why do you need to do this? The reason you need to do this is because you owe it to your future generations. So now, let me ask somebody, aapke kitne grandchildren hai? 5 grandchildren. Aapka naam? Muhammad Mushtaq Sahab, Allah bless him. Give him long life and iman. He has 5 grandchildren. They're yours. They're not your brothers or sisters. They have their own. Right. Now the 5 you have, there's no stopping now. Wo badhenge, they're going to become 10, 15, 20, then we're going to be gone from this world, or wo to bas mashallah, they'll just continue. Right? Now the thing is that whatever the way your household is, that will influence your children and your grandchildren. Agar aapne usme achhi sifat paida ki hai, they will carry that on. On the day of judgment, you will come with all of your grandchildren. If our dua has been accepted, then inshallah all of them will be the coolness of our eyes. There's going to be some woman and say, who is this? This is your great granddaughter. And mashallah, look at what she did, because you left behind the good environment that mashallah usme wo pale bade. Very important. Marik dost hai, he's very wealthy and he's in a position of influence, but he's a very religious man and he thinks. Usne waqf banaya hai. And I think the Muslim community needs to make more waqf. Our elders, past predecessors have made waqf and left it. We need to make waqf. Waqf means if you have a lot of assets, you can leave some fi sabilillah. A waqf has a deed. Okay, waqf ki ek deed hoti hai to how it is governed. And you have mutawallis of the waqf. So he has defined his waqf ke ye kaam karegi, ye khidmat anjam degi, or meri family, yani children, grandchildren, they will work in it. ताकि उनको भी सवाब मिले. यहाँ तक उसने सोचा है कि उनके लिए एक औराद या वज़ाइफ की किताब तैयार की है कि जो भी इस वक्त में काम करेगा, he needs to read these du'as because they're very powerful du'as. Look how far he's thinking. Now imagine after 200 years, he's gone. And that waqf is continuing. And his great-great-great-grandchildren who he's never seen, that grandchild is going to take that great-great-grandfather's kitab and think, mashallah. Look at the sunnah he established. Look at the reward he's going to get. Did you ever think that you are the head of a legacy? When you have children, grandchildren and so on, did you ever think that you're a head of a legacy? And what you do today is going to affect that. Some people, they ask me that, why did you choose this occupation, alim banna, ye karna, wo karna. So, pehle main ye jawab deta tha ki my father's an alim and hafiz, his brother's a hafiz, my chacha, his father was a hafiz, my mum's father is a qari and a hafiz, rahimahumullah, her brother's a mufti. It runs in the family. Big deal, like it runs in the family. How can you affect that? Aapke liye kya, how is it fayda for you? Then I realized that the main reason is because in our house, see, there's lots of people who are doctors in the family and they don't want to be a doctor. Or there's a certain business and the child doesn't want to take that business, they want to do some other business. It can happen, right? So the reason I wanted to carry on this tradition is because I saw that the deen was glorified in my house. The deen was always respected and honored. And people who did hifz or ilm or whatever, they were respected. I thought, chalo, that's a good thing, this is honorable. However, the main thing is a lot of people will listen to this and say, Hamare khandan mein to koi alim nahi hai, koi hafiz bhi nahi hai, they just about pray namaz. Okay, no problem. Does that mean you have to carry that on? Does that mean you have to carry the same tradition on? Can you not make if you can't, then can you not make your children all hafiz and alim? In England, alhamdulillah, we have so many now families, all of their children are hafiz, alim or alima, and they also got degrees. So many. There's one family I know, unme koi hafiz or alim nahi tha. Right? And they started, and now every single second generation, nearly everyone is hafiz. You can start a tradition. It's in your hands. It's going to be your children and grandchildren. Sometimes when I've been for Hajj, the Hajj mein for 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, you are with somebody, some stranger, and you get to understand them. Some people, they will stick out for bad akhlaq, and some people stick out for good akhlaq. MashaAllah, this guy is just a really good guy. Look at his akhlaq. So then you wonder, kahan se akhlaq aaya? And I start speaking to them, and I realize they'll tell me that, oh, my great grandfather, oh yeah, koi bada buzurg the, and I had thought so. I thought so. You can change the course of the history of your generations. It's your responsibility, in fact. Don't be selfish and just think about yourself. Why would you want in 30 years that your marriage may be punctured with a divorce and your children will be all over the place? Or your children experience animosity and aggression and arguments? Why would you put your children through that? They're going to do the same thing with their children. How many mother-in-laws are there who oppress their daughter-in-laws, and the reason they do it is because their mother-in-law oppressed them. Their mother-in-law oppressed them, so then they oppress their daughter-in-laws. Stop the bad sunnah. You be good. You'll get rewarded, so you can teach your daughter-in-law something good. You don't have to carry on the trend. This is what the problem is. This is our messing up our community. Change the culture. Take the good and leave the bad. Every Muslim culture has good and bad in it. Take the good, leave the bad. A lot of the time is misunderstanding. For example, in the north of England, London has hard water. And if you have hard water, it leaves lime scale marks, white marks. Have you noticed that? So, a girl from another town where the water is softer got married in London. Now you know the bathtub. In where she comes from, they just wash it and leave it. Kuch nahi hota, it's clean. But here, the mother-in-law, because there's lime scales, she wipes the bathtub. So the water does not leave a residue. She never taught that to her daughter-in-law. She just expects her to know. This is the problem. There's misunderstanding, miscommunication. So when she doesn't do it properly, you know what she says? She says, didn't your mother teach you anything? Foreign maa kyun par chali jati hai? Is that fair? Like, do you want her to do
ولأزواجنا ولإخواننا ولأخواتنا ولأصدقائنا ولكل من له حق علينا ولكل من أوصانا بالدعاء. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وعافهم واعف عنهم. Ya Allah, we ask you for your special blessings on this congregation.
Amen.
Ya Allah, accept our coming. Ya Allah, we ask you for your generosity and your benevolence and your mercy. We ask you for your forgiveness. Oh Allah, we ask you for your forgiveness. Oh Allah, forgive us our laziness. Forgive us our distractions. Forgive us our other obligations. Oh Allah, forgive us our sins and transgressions. Oh Allah, forgive our violations. Oh Allah, we ask you to forgive those sins that bring darkness to our lives. We ask you to forgive those things that bring darkness to our relationships. Oh Allah, that remove the barakah and blessing from them. Oh Allah, that have taken the happiness out of our lives. Oh Allah, we ask you to forgive us from all of these sins. Oh Allah, we ask that you forgive us those things that we have now brought into our life. They become part of our life and we don't consider them sins anymore. Oh Allah, if we die in this state, what will become of us? Oh Allah, allow us full purification before we die. Oh Allah, we ask that you bless our marriages, you bless our relationships. Oh Allah, you make us those people who understand their strengths and use them positively, and those who understand their weakness and control their weaknesses. Oh Allah, we ask that you remove our weaknesses, you remove our laziness, you remove our inattentiveness, you remove the non-concern and selfishness that we have. Oh Allah, make us better individuals and better people. Oh Allah, make us like a breath of fresh air rather than a liability. Oh Allah, make us productive individuals. Oh Allah, bless our marriages, make them our homes wonderful, blissful environments. Oh Allah, grant us wonderful children and progeny until the day of judgment.
Amen.
Make them the coolness of our eyes.
Amen.
Oh Allah, make them the coolness of our eyes. Protect us from any evil relating to them. Protect us from the challenges that the new world puts in front of us. Protect us from all the fitnas that seek to take away our children and us from the straight path. Oh Allah, we ask that you give us full yaqeen in the message of your Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Attach us to the Quran, attach us to the Quran. Oh Allah, all of these brothers and sisters who are sitting here on this Sunday evening, oh Allah, bless and accept all of them. Oh Allah, you brought us here. You chose to bring us here. Oh Allah, we didn't just come here, but oh Allah, you thought us worthy to come here. Oh Allah, now make us worthy of having good relationships and a good communication with you and a good ibadah and a good relationship with you. Good sunnah of your Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Oh Allah, all of those who have allowed this journey to happen and this timetable to be made and have worked very hard and given a lot of sacrifice in any way, shape or form to have these programs. Oh Allah, accept it from them.
Amen.
And Allah, forgive us our mistakes.
Amen.
And Allah, accept it from them and make this a form of sadaqah jariyah.
Amen.
Make it useful and beneficial.
Amen.
Oh Allah, allow these words to be accepted by you.
Amen.
Allow it to be beneficial and improve our community
Amen.
marriages.
Amen.
Those who are married here, Allah, bless their marriages, enhance their marriages.
Amen.
Make them blissful ones. And Allah, those who are not married, grant them pious, righteous, suitable partners. And Allah, give us a blessing and allow us to unite together in Jannah al-Firdaus. Allow us to unite together in Jannah al-Firdaus. Oh Allah, accept from us and bless all the people of Bangalore. And oh Allah, bless all the people of Hindustan and India. And oh Allah, allow the state of affairs to become more positive and better.
Amen.
And oh Allah, remove any darknesses and the dark clouds which are looming against us.
Amen.
And oh Allah, remove the fitnas and trials and tribulations.
Amen.
Allow us to be successful. Oh Allah, grant us an understanding how we can be useful people to all other people. And oh Allah, how to be productive and accept us all for the service of the deen.
Amen.
Subhanallah wa bihamdihi.